Hi Melody ears. This work is the first in a body of work named Brushstrokes, and this individual piece is called Provenance, Pious Art of the Middle Ages in a visionary art style. I began the project by sketching out my different ideas and playing with the positioning of the composition. I compiled a mood board in my sketchbook to inspire me and keep me on track throughout the project, and found some reference pictures to get precise results on areas such as the face. Once I was satisfied with the composition, I created a smaller mock-up or prototype for the painting. This allowed me to grasp what the piece would look like in paint, and I could evaluate elements that I wanted to keep, change or remove before starting the actual project. I then started the painting on a 40 by 60 centimeter canvas. I marked in the positioning of the Madonna and Child and made rough underpainting. I also worked on their faces, proportionately positioning their features. I continued to layer the underpainting with hair color, robe and the sky, which I ended up keeping as the final sky. I continued to work on the faces, making the baby look softer and young. I worked on the scenery in the background, painting rolling green hills, but when I stood back to look at the painting, it was overwhelmingly green. It didn't make sense contextually, so instead I painted over the hills with raw and burnt sienna, reshaping the background to be a cliff and rock face. But then I was in a pickle because I wasn't sure how to resolve the bottom of the hills with the start of the valley in a way that provided the viewer with a sense that there was a decent perspective. So I completely changed the entire left-hand side of the painting. The valley became a lake and Joseph became Noah and his ark. I noticed that Madonna's face looked very harsh. So I used this picture by Josephine Wall as a reference. I continued to use the original outline and positioning of features that I had on Madonna, but I softened them and used the colour palette from this painting on Madonna's face, closed her eyes and opened her mouth, and this really helped to make Madonna's face so much more compassionate looking and lovely. So I'm really glad that I did that. Josephine Wall often uses mythology and history as the subject of her artwork. I was gifted a guidance pack of hers a few Christmases ago, and her work has really inspired me to create this piece and especially take on the visionary art style. I love her use of colours and how she embeds so many things within her work. Focusing more on my interpretation of how religious art was represented throughout history, and so I'm focusing on the draping here. For the draping of this cloth, I am using a Madonna and Child picture here and copying the draping of the fabric, and where the shine and shadows are. The blue and the red are the traditional colours used to represent Mary. And so I've mixed these up here. I've got a lighter shade for the shine and a darker shade for the shadows, and the lighter shade has pearlescence in it. To make this look like a visionary art style, I have pulled upon the influence of my favourite artist Josephine Wall and also Pamela Matthews, and so I have butterfly wings on the Madonna. I have rainbow wings on the child and some rainbow hair that resembles a mountain or hills. So I also have some shine on the lake, and that is taken from the influence of one of Josephine Wall's paintings. And so I have also echoed the religious art from the Middle Ages with the Madonna and Child. And there's a biblical reference with Noah and his ark. Today I am going to work on Madonna's hands, fix the baby's wings and the robe. I'm going to add some shadows and definition so that it looks more 3D. So I'm definitely going to be putting a wash on the robe over here against the body of the child and the mother's dress, because it needs to be shaded here so that you can tell that it's not just 2D, so body goes a bit shadowed in here. I'm also going to add some more detailing to the ark, and I'm going to paint in some of Cicero's angels over here, leaning on the wall and admiring the Madonna. I'm just putting on a Notre Dame type cathedral on the hillside, and I'm just measuring it up right now. So I've added the Notre Dame cathedral up the top here, and I've added some brown washes with raw sienna and burnt sienna over the top of the cathedral to set it back into the background so that the white isn't poking out at us. And as well as this, I've also added Raphael's cherubs. They're just marked out over here. This is where I'm placing them. And before you start painting, it's always good to have some preliminary sketches. So I've done some over here, and that helped me to figure out how I wanted them to be. So as you might be able to see, as I've worked through the sketches and done my own, I've realized where I've done some things incorrect to the original reference picture, and so I needed to bring him down and his elbow out. So then I worked again with the sketch, and so that's where I get all the mistakes out so that I can get it right when I put it on canvas, so I don't have to redo it over and over again. So I've just marked them out over here, and now I'm going to go ahead and put the underpainting in, build up from there, working on their faces and the rest of the little figures, because this silhouette of these cherubs is what makes them recognizable to Raphael's work. And as well as this, I've added a shimmery pearl / blue wash over the robe to give it almost silky texture, so it looks like it's made of silk or satin. And I've also added the same shimmer over the water to give it the glimmer of the water. As well as this, I've fixed her hand. So it was very elongated before, so I've needed to change the colouring to match the rest of her complexion, as well as shorten the fingers a bit because they were unusually long and it was quite a big hand. And how I've helped that is by adding knuckles, so you can see those little light bits there, and that has made such a big difference to how the hand looks. So close to completing this painting, Provenance, and I'm just a few tweaks off finishing the whole thing. So as you may have noticed, I've got the Star of Bethlehem over the baby's head, and that was a white star. I've added a golden yellow wash over the top and given it some illuminance with some shine coming out. I've also got the dove carrying the branch, which relates to the story of Noah and his ark. So to carry that through, I've got the ark here. I'm going to add a bit more light to it, but I'm also going to add a little sheep's head to show that there are animals inside the ark. I've also got Raphael's cherubs down the bottom here. I have made them a bit different to the original composition, with the wings being a red wine colour, and the tips of the feathers on the edge of the wings are gold. So we've got a nice little accent here, and it also relates to over here. But I've also fixed Madonna's robe, so it's got a bit more of a pull, which shows kind of the drape of the fabric. And I've added a little accent over here. What I need to do now to complete the painting is add a bit of skin down here for the baby so you can see it's not just a torso. I also need to fix Madonna's eyebrows because she has quite a wide nose bridge here. So what I can do to fix this is bring it in a bit on either eyebrow, and also this eyebrow is thicker than this one, so I'm going to add a bit more thickness to this eyebrow. It also helps to create facial symmetry. I put a sheep on the ark because everybody knows Mary had a little lamb. And over here the cathedral, which I've added a lighter wash on, and it helps it stand on its own and in the painting and the setting a bit more. Therefore, this is my painting. Ta-da! Bravo!
No,